So Robert, we've been talking about flossing all day, right? We went through a few events. We went through the triathlon and we watched the folks here in Clearwater Beach playing beach volleyball. They have been flossing themselves as well after a few things we taught them, and some took our class, things like that. And as you know, our system has a few layers of complexity that you don't find on general flossing out there. And one of the things is we kind of grade the tension and the compression of the bands. And it's been said that I use more tension than you, and you apply lighter tension, and yet we both get great results. What is your reasoning behind this? How do you explain that? Am I using too much tension unnecessarily, or should you be using more tension, or it really doesn't matter how much tension you use?
Well, that's a great question which you ask. I think it's more about the patients which we have. As you already know, my patients are older. It's an older population, chronic patients, larger population, and being with this group or categories, they require a little different kind of stimulant, which we're performing with the floss bands. So what I'm focusing on is rebuilding the perception, so they can actually make the new movement patterns. With this chronic problem which they have, and they carrying this movement patterns for a very long time, the brain just let it go, and it's just using this information which he has for a very long time. It's very similar to this Butler pain theory, and based on the experience of the person and based on the past. And I think the same thing happened with the humans regarding the tension and the holding and the whole muscle protection which they have. So what I found that if I apply the light tension, and we're applying this to the distal part of the long bones, and we know that that's the place where there's a lot of mechanoreceptors, there is a lot of proprioceptors actually located there. And as we facilitating them, the brain receiving different information. And as the brain receives different information, he has to start to act, he has to start to respond. And he's looking for this, what other information I can receive. And what's happening is like we erasing the past, and now the new movement patterns can be created.
That's correct. So indeed, most of my patients tend to have more, truly simply mechanical problems. A lot of younger adults with, active lives, and many of them athletes still playing and getting injured. So it's clearly a different population, and they do welcome more compression when we floss, particularly the plantar fasciitis and the lateral epicondylitis, and all these itis that we treat every day. I can see the population that you treat being mostly elderly, right?
Correct.
Which is another thing that that you and I had a plan to, is to be able to introduce this technique that has been kind of pushed around throughout back alley gyms and things like that, with the compression, and to be able to adapt it, modify it, make it safe enough so that we can actually use it in healthcare, because it presents tremendous results, right, from ages 0 to 100. We had some of our therapists treating neonatal patients, and we, as you know, we treat some octogenarians and so on. So by adapting what was out there and making it safer, creating a method that you can deliver in healthcare, I think we can now serve a population with a technique that is truly great.
That's what I think, because a couple times we have this situation that we apply this to the patient, and as you remember, we're using this Balance SD platform, and we're trying to verify the results. And what happened is, after we apply the floss bands and the person is going back, our results are getting worse on
Yep.
this, and we're thinking, what's actually happening? How is it possible? We're supposed to help the person. Well, what it is we eliminate all this protection which patient was holding for a very long time, and then we have to put them on the bosu. We have to put them on the balance pad.
You have to
Just-
retrain them.
That's
Yep.
correct, for 2-3 minutes, and then you're going back on the balance SD, and what you're getting is fantastic results, about 50-60% better. So that was my conclusion of this. What actually happening when we apply this very light, tension? It's not the magic. It's
Right.
just
Now
we have these
that,
changes.
that brings to my mind the research that's coming out. There's not much research yet about musculoskeletal flossing, but there's starting to sprout around the country and truly around the world, with some things coming from Europe. And it seems like it's 50-50, positive versus no outcomes. But yet, on a day-to-day use of this, and we use this every day a lot in the clinic, the results are undeniable. And of course, if someone is listening to this, it sounds like I'm telling stories, but it's true. What is your take? Because I have an opinion of it, but what is your take? Why the research comes less exciting than the clinical practice?
Well, I think at least a couple of them which I read lately, is when you're really looking at them, they take quite a very healthy population, and they take the population which really does not have injuries. This is like straight from the street population, or a couple athletes which they're using from the universities.
Right, so one was a group of tennis players.
Correct,
right?
correct. Remember, they were checking the elbow
And then-
mobility.
Right, and then rugby players, but then they were suggesting that it didn't increase range of motion. But why would you expect a normal elbow to increase range of motion?
Well, the limitation on these people, as you're looking at this, they was very small. Now, even with this, the results which they get, there was quite percentage-wise. You're looking percentage-wise as a whole, that was quite sufficient, I think. But that's not the group of people which actually you and me we're treating, that we're flossing. Okay. Now, like we have Marcelo here on the beach. He's usually treating, or should I rather use the word, he's flossing people, which are weekend warriors. They're very active people. They come in here, they play volleyball, and suddenly they just start to have some dysfunction because they injure themselves. Okay, so naturally you're gonna apply much more stress and tension for these people, because the majority of the perception which they're getting is from the deep structures. They don't have this chronic changes like my patients.
Yes, but then I will have patients, mostly, from young to middle age, and they would be suffering from, say, plantar fasciitis for 4 or 5 years.
Correct, but
Right.
as you already mentioned, this is plantar fasciitis, so you want to affect the certain structures also.
Right. Correct.
And that's when I'm getting patients after a knee replacement, right? Let's say, or the last one which I have, which was the hip replacement, 6 weeks, 7 weeks after.
Yeah.
And she was still not able to lift the leg up. And you remember the movie I sent to you? We just did one flossing, and she was actually able to lift her leg, right?
Correct.
This is not the magic. This is not what I was able to do. Just what we did, we rewrite the information and allowing her to build something new. Well, I ask you, why do you think you can lift your leg now, and 5 minutes or 10 minutes ago you were not able? She said, I was just afraid to lift my leg. So there was this bracing component. There was actually the pleasance of the color. There's a lot of other things which I think it's, a little farther behind the neurophysiology even. It's just the perception of the person, I cannot do this, and now I have this protection, now I can try, and now when they do this the first time, it's awesome, now they can perform this.
Right. So, I mean, you could qualify that as maybe placebo. Would you call it placebo?
You know, the question is if this is really the placebo. The placebo would be actually the person doesn't know if it works or not. However, at this time, you are affecting them. You are changing the way how this person is feeling, how this sensors, how the proprioceptors sending information. They are different ones, you know, you're affecting them different way. Imagine that when the person is doing isometric exercises and now you're actually going to move the muscle fibers, right? Mechanically, you're just going to move them because you're going to slide them with your hands and with the band. And now we have additional compression. That would be far away from the placebo, don't you think?
Well, yeah, I suppose.
Have